Hey, my name's Randy Abbott. I am from Greensboro, North Carolina. And on January the 31st of 2015, at about 2:15 in the afternoon, we got the knock on the door that every parent dreads. There were two detectives standing on my front porch. At that very moment, I kind of knew that a couple of things could potentially have happened. One, that our daughter, who had left home the night before to go out, was in jail, or worse. Unfortunately, it was the worst. They were there to inform us that our daughter, 24 years old, Vanessa Abbott, had died of a suspected heroin overdose. I remember that day, and always will, like it was today. Heroin is not a game. And unfortunately, it is becoming more and more of a problem in our communities, in our homes, in our families. It's very difficult now to talk to anyone who doesn't know someone that has been affected by heroin. But yet still the stigma that surrounds heroin and addiction and overdose is unbelievable. It's hard for me to imagine how this happened to us, how this happened to my daughter, how this happened to my family. This is a picture of my daughter and myself at our high school prom. The other side is a picture from a camping trip when she was just out fooling around. But that picture shows how happy of a person she was, what she was like inside and out. She never met anyone that she didn't like. Every animal, every creature was one of God's creatures, and they were meant to be loved and enjoyed. From a very early age, I tell this story quite frequently, but from a very early age, we noticed this nature-loving attitude in Vanessa. I tell the story a lot of times. Her mom was out with Vanessa and her sister, her older sister, out digging holes to plant flowers one spring. And as Chris went through and put the flowers where they would go and the girls were digging their holes, Vanessa was about 2 at the time. Chris was down digging some holes and working on some other stuff, and Vanessa came over to her holding something in her hand very gently, just cuddling it not to hurt it, and showed it to her mom. And her, you might think, okay, that was like a bug or an earthworm or something. It was a slug. But to Vanessa, it was a living creature. So what do? How do we quit destroying families? Personally, I tell this story every chance I get. This was my baby girl. She didn't want this. I know she didn't. Unlike so many, hers did not start from prescription medications, from wisdom teeth, or an injury from soccer that she loved to play, or anything like that. Hers started recreationally. And it's just there. You either have that addictive personality or you don't, I think, in a lot of cases. Unfortunately, Vanessa got a double whammy. We have addiction down both sides of our family, and she unfortunately got that gene. She overdosed once that we know of in 2012. We got a call in the middle of the night from the emergency room at Wesley Long Hospital that said, you need to come to the emergency room, your daughter's here. We walked in and they said, well, we've got her back. I said, you've got her back? What do you mean you've got her back? And she's on a ventilator and on life support, and we're not sure whether she'll be okay or not. At that point, by the grace of God, she was okay. And she swore at that point she would never, ever do that to us again. And I can promise you, she did not want to do this to her family. But heroin didn't care. Heroin could care less. And heroin, unfortunately, is stronger once it's there, once it's in your system, once you've done it and you're addicted. It's stronger than anything you can imagine. People do get better, but it is a long, hard road for people that get better. And it takes support, it takes love from every family member. I'm not a big fan of what you hear as tough love. That's just not in my nature. I'm more of the belief that as long as they're alive, there's hope. So we need to, as a community, as a nation, we need to kind of get ourselves together and learn that the stigma that goes with this has to go away. We begged our daughter multiple times to go into not just rehab, but into a program that would put her back into society without drugs, without medications. She avoided doing that because of the stigma and the embarrassment that it would put on herself. We've got to erase that. I don't have the answers. All I know is that by telling stories, by being open, I have 2 bracelets on my arm. One says Stop Heroin Now. The other one says, Ask me about my angel. I wear them every day. I want people to see them, and I want people to ask. I want to have the opportunity to tell people what our country is losing, what our towns are losing, and what our families are losing, and what we've lost. Vanessa was doing great. At least we thought so. She was doing phenomenal. She'd been living back at home for 6 months. She had kind of gone through a self-detox for some other non-opiate prescription medications that she was on that she knew she was being over-medicated on for anti-anxiety medications and some other stuff. She was getting ready to go back to school. She had a new job that she was getting ready to start the following week and had been accepted to massage therapy school and had a scholarship to go back to school and was more excited about life than I had seen her in a long time, and she had been clean from heroin for quite some time. She met a new guy that came into the picture, and he felt that it would be romantic if they tried heroin together. That was it. That was where the story ended for her. Had the group she was with not panicked, had they dialed 911, had they had Narcan, she may have had another chance. But she didn't. So our story, if I have anything to do with it, does not end here. It ends when I see this addiction turning around. It ends when I've told my story until my dying breath, but not before. I will fight heroin for the rest of my life. That's my story.